Hey, Dr. Randall here. In this video, I'm just going to kind of give you an overview of some of the things we can do to optimize and content that has been placed on the website, since that's part of our job as the online digital editors. So what I'm going to do here is I've already logged in, so I'm at our admin panel, and I can look at posts. I can look at published posts, and I'm just going to pick one at random here that's been published. So I'm going to look at this AP story that was just published. So we have the headline here, and we want to content optimize, SEO optimize the headline with keywords that are more on the left-hand side in the first several words. And then here we have what's called the subhead, which is additional information about the story, additional detail and specific information. So 321ers a lot of times won't write this, but we do, especially on longer articles, we do want to have some type of secondary information about the story. Over here on the right is the timestamp. This is when it was actually created and published. If you want to change this for any reason, you can click on here and hit edit and go in and change the timestamp to push something up higher that you've used before. If I'm going to go, let me go back to the website here in a second. So we're editing this post, and the other thing you want to make sure is that it's categorized properly over on the hand side, so it ends up in the proper place on the website. And if we go back here, we can see that because it's been clicked on featured, that it ends up in the rotator. So the 6 most recent stories, for example, this Romney story was written last week, and today in class, as those of you that were there, we changed the date to be more recent, so it ended up back in the rotator since he's going to be here tomorrow. So that's what ends up in the rotator. Now, what photo does it use for the rotator? Well, let's look at that. Let's continue to scan from the top. So the next thing you're going to do is decide, well, how do we want to optimize the text? Yeah, are there enough keywords in the lead? Are there section heads we want to put in? If we wanted to do that, we might do that and then boldface it and add a few section heads that make sense. We might add, and this isn't necessarily fancy content, I might find a pull quote here that we might click on this button here and create a pull quote, insert a simple pull quote. You can actually insert tweets here, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that unless you're kind of doing a blog or something, or have a tweet actually in the article. So there's a bunch of stuff in the chapter. I'm not going to go over it right now. As far as optimizing, we want to read over the story, make sure we're not out there to try to be super editors. We just want to make sure that there's good copy there and leave that other stuff to the editors. So that's the second part, is optimize the actual text area. We might put some inbound links, outbound links. Some inline linking is what it's called. So let's say we wanted to link Lifeless. We could click here and, source, lifeless.com or whatever, okay? So we should put a few links in, especially a story that has evergreen capabilities. So yeah, put a few links in, some subheads, check for spelling, and we may want to at some point, well, let me get to that when we go down. Okay, the excerpt is something that we definitely want to start using, and you can come up here to screen options and make sure you're actually seeing that if you're not, and you can click down here and we go to excerpt, and this is a story summary. And if you look on page 115 of our book, that is an article summary that basically tells why the news is interesting. So our theme normally pulls our WordPress theme normally pulls the first sentence or the lead of the story, and that works okay for inverted pyramid stories. You might copy that and edit it a little bit. And you'd have to publish it and see if the size is okay. But where it especially comes in handy is when people are writing a feature lead, a soft lead, and the hard lead isn't till here, or the nut graph. So that's where we want to use the excerpt or article summary to tease articles, and where that ends up is here and here. It ends up not on the story page, but where the story is teased. So doing the excerpts or article summaries would be useful to do. Continuing down the page, we want to make sure we add in tags, and these are like blog tags. So we might put in military here, and if they're ones we've used before, you can select them. You know, flag. I'm trying to remember what this, you know, war, whatever it is, and add 3 or 4 tags in here. This is important for SEO. This is kind of the equivalent of our keywords. So that's important to do. The author will probably be correct over here. So going down to featured image, okay, you can set the featured image or add an image if appropriate. Where that ends up is here. It's the teaser image. Okay, so a story can have a photo, and then let me find one without an image. It's good. See, this is good because they have images on all of them. Here's one right here. Okay, upcoming gubernatorial debate. I'll click on that, and this has an inline link, which is cool. But let's say I had a picture of like the Utah logo here or something like that. I can place the picture in the story, and it'll just show up in the story unless you go down here to set featured image. So you can choose that and set that image. I'm not going to click on it right now because I don't want to remove the featured image. And then what you end up with is a photo that it automatically uses and crops. And we looked at this earlier where we were at the home page, and wait for that to come in. And what it did is it cropped the photo. It was a kind of more of a vertical photo, and it cropped and just showed the center part of someone's body. It chopped off their head. So you might want to go in here. We did it with the soccer photo's not there. But even here, see how it's kind of cutting off their heads? It's barely working. So we might go in here and copy and paste this photo out, remove this photo, drag it onto your desktop, do a different edit of it, and load it up separately. So the featured image, I know that's confusing, but the featured image can either be this image from the story, and you set it. Let's click on it. I'm going to click on this. Okay, and down here under Advanced, you can scroll down here. Well, it's not here now, of course. You can set as the featured image when you place a photo, or you can totally place a different one, and that's what you want to do this. So if there's going to be a featured image or a teaser image, you have to place one here, and it can't be a link. It has to be an actual photo that you've downloaded and uploaded into the system. And finally, the other thing you might want to do is, if it's a long article, you might try doing an info box. This is a info box. This is a plugin, and you can set the title, have a summary for the info box, and then like these are bullet points basically. So if it's a longer article, an evergreen article, I'm not suggesting to have 10 items, but 3 or 4 items that provide a summary. It puts it up in the upper right-hand corner. So those are kind of the things you can do to optimize an article that's already been placed. So you come into your lab and you can just look at items on your desk or other breaking items to see if they've been optimized for long-term use on the web. And there's plenty to do is kind of the point of all this. So hopefully that will help a bit. Thanks.